Hello there, this is Christina, and in this video I'll be putting together a card using this adorable stamp set by Sweet Stamp Shop. This is new for October 2018. It's called Flying Squirrel, and I've already gone through and stamped some of the images using Memento dye ink and colored them in with my Copics. And the squirrel is going to be the main focus of the card, of course. I mean, he's just adorable. And then I have some leaves as well as, and some more scattered leaves there. So let me tell you what my plan for my card is. So I have a card base here. It's a Nina Solar White cardstock, which is the same cardstock I used for my stamped images. And I've scored it. This is a standard half of a letter size, so I've scored it. And this is going to be my card. But since the stamp set has this great sentiment, flying by to say, and then you can add happy fall or happy birthday, and the squirrel is a flying squirrel. So I've had this idea that I want to make a slider card. And I have to confess, I have made the grand total of 1 slider cards in my life, which it was great. I loved how it turned out. It's just something I never remembered to do, and it just never comes up. But of course, with this kind of sentiment and this kind of stamp, you just have to do it. So I'm gonna give it a shot, and I will be freehanding the path of my squirrel. So and then cutting the path with an X-Acto knife, and I will be using foam dots then to attach my squirrel on the front, and then I'll insert a coin in the back of the panel to make him slide. So I've been debating, do I want to do a horizontal card? Do I want to do a vertical card? And I just, for some reason, I'm just drawn to making a vertical card, and I'll be placing the sentiment in the center. So my squirrel should slide. And I think I forgot to mention this. I've cut also another panel that's just the same size of my front of the card, because I will be adhering that on top. And that's where I will be cutting that slot for my squirrel to fly across the card. So I will be drawing something like this for my slot, and the only thing I need to make sure of is that I make the slot wider than whatever I'll be adhering the squirrel with, which is going to be the small foam dot. So I'm really just hand drawing here, and definitely eyeballing this, but this looks like it could work. Just make it a little bit wider at the end. And now I'm going to be cutting outside of these lines, so then I don't even have to erase the pencil marks. So I've got my X-Acto knife, and I'm doing this on a self-healing cutting mat, so I don't carve my table. So I'm gonna go slow and easy here. Frankly, I rarely use my X-Acto knife, so I'm not very proficient, but this really does not have to be that precise. Keep going here. Oops. And I've given this a gentle curve. If you do a very tortuous path, I was just afraid my coin would get, my slider would get stuck, so I just gave it a very smooth path all around. And I'm also planning before I put this all together, I want to do maybe some blending on this panel, not just leave it white, but of course you could just leave it white. It is very pretty as well. Okay, so let's see if this worked. So I'm going to put a foam dot. Let's put it on the coin. And I'm using just a 1 cent because I'm cheap. I don't want to use other coins. This should work just fine. Oh, and of course you got to make sure the the slot is not bigger than your coin, otherwise it won't hold the image. But it looked like this worked. And actually, I think I'm going to put a couple of foam dots just so my image will be more secure on the coin. All right, so I don't want to adhere it yet because I want to do some blending on the card. So I will just hold this just to show you how the movement goes. And yeah, this worked out. That's pretty easy. Now, yeah, I will add, as I said, some blending, I think. Let me see what let me think back what I was planning for this card. I'm definitely going to put the leaves on the back. And the sentiment here in the center, it says flying by to say. And then I will put on the inside, I will put the happy fall sentiment in the inside of my card. And I will be adhering this panel to the front with foam dots. Of course, if you do decide to do some blending for the front, then you should do that on this back panel as well, because it's going to show through my slot. And so let me pick some colors and we'll do the blending and then finish putting the card together.